Hello everybody, welcome back to the table. Today we're going to play some Platoon Commander Deluxe, the Battle of Kursk, and we're doing scenario 3. So scenario 3, it says July 6, 1943, Commander of the Soviet Central Front Commander Army General Rokossowski orders a counterattack, but only the 16th Tank Corps of the 2nd Tank Army responds, running headlong into elements of the 505th Heavy Tank Battalion and the 9th Panzer Division. So this is on map B, and basically we got like a bunch of stuff over here. So for the Russians or Soviets, there's 12 T-34, so I've got T-34 stacked up there. Then there's 2 KV-1s and 2 Su-152s. So that's what we have for the Soviets. And then for the Germans, we've got 6 Panzer IV platoons and then 2 Tiger 1s. And what we want to do is try and take control of this town in here. And that's with victory conditions. So it's like if you each hex of Godanovo or the hill centered on J5. So we want that. That's 3. Well, the Soviet player gets 3 victory points. Well, they subtract 3 victory points. So the Germans want to control these areas, and then if you can destroy some equipment along the way, that's great. But that's the general gist of it. Is the Germans want to come and take this central area. All right. So what we'll do is just dive right in. So what I'm going to try and do is move the camera around so you can see where we're at. Try not to give you whiplash when I move stuff, and let's see how it goes from there. Okay, it says sequence of play step 1. We're going to determine initiative. Alright, Russian player gets a 6, German player gets a 4. So Russians will have the initiative. Soviets. I'll probably say back and forth, but it does say Soviets on there. So yeah, Soviets. Right, we have, this is 6 turns, so I put the Soviet marker up on turn 1. Part 2 is we're going to draw action cards. I already got 2 action cards out, but the thing is, I usually forget about action cards when I play solo, so I'll try to remember that I'm using them, and we'll see if I pull some out. But we'll say since the Soviet had initiative, this will go to the Soviets, so they get a Niet. And then the Germans, they're going to grab an artillery barrage. Yay! We can drop that down somewhere. Okay, next in the sequence would be rally phase, but we haven't done anything yet, so we're just going to skip past rally phase, and we're going to go to fire phase. Now, at this point, nothing is in range or even really has line of sight, so we're going to move past fire phase, go to movement phase. Soviets have initiative, so they will probably end up moving most of their stuff. So that's probably what we'll do. Alright, I didn't mark everybody with move markers just because I knew they were all moving. And I just moved them right up to the middle of the board. I don't know how that will play out, but they're just going to start shooting back and forth here. So the Soviet forces are kind of spread out in a defensive line, whereas the German troops just kind of decided to consolidate to try and push into the city and take control of that. And then I've got my 2 Tigers that have kind of come out here in between these 2 mountain areas to try and maybe just kind of whittle away here on that flank. We'll see how that works out. This might not go good. This is going to go good probably for the person who gets initiative when we get back around to firing. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, we would check for close assault. Now, technically, the tanks could probably close assault each other. I would think probably they're just going to shoot would be the better. So we're just going to have them shoot, probably not do close assault. Housekeeping, we can skip past that. It's just clearing off markers, and since I didn't place them because all they did was move, we'll just go ahead and let that be. Now we can do aid and focus, and I will put those out and show you what I came up with. Alright, so here was my thinking. Since I've got these Panzer IVs about to attack into the city, I went ahead and gave them the focus and maybe give them a little bonus on the attack. The Tigers are up here kind of by themselves. The KV-1s We'll see what kind of damage they could do, but just in case, I did put an aid on there to help them with their morale. And then for the Soviet player, what I did was for the KV-1s, I went ahead and put their focus and aid right there. That way they kind of get all the benefits right out the gate, because we are anticipating to maybe cause some damage there to the Tigers. Looks like we'll advance the turn marker, which I just did, and then we are going to wrap around, go back to determine initiative, and this will be pretty important. In fact, it was so important, the German player probably should have stuck his focus there in the initiative box, but we'll roll it out and see what happens. Here they come, and German player gets the initiative. Awesome for them. Okay, so next would be draw action cards, and what I did was I made a command decision. I'm going to skip action cards. When I play solo, because I forget about them and I'm trying to juggle other stuff, I'll be honest, I usually just kind of push those cards aside to begin with. I thought maybe, hey, I'll play for you guys, throw in the action cards, but to be honest, I'm sitting here going, you know what, I'm just going to play the way I like to play solo, and I'm just going to skip the action cards. I love the action cards when I play face-to-face, but when I play solo, since I see both hands and I'm not a big hand management person when I play like this, I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to leave the cards aside. And at least I'm going to show you, hopefully, that the game is completely playable without them. So you might say, well, why would you include them? So just a quick side note, because when you do face-to-face, I actually think they do add quite a bit of element of fun and surprise a little bit. You know, like, oh, you're moving there, great, surprise barrage. I like that. But for those who don't like the cards, I'm going to show you that the game is completely playable without them. So what I'm going to do is just from this point, we're just going to skip action cards. So we're going to move to rally phase. Because we haven't done any firing yet, that's about to happen, we're going to skip the rally phase, and now it's fire phase. And because Germans have the initiative, they're going to go ahead and open up with the Tigers to see if they can take out some KV-1s. So let's go take a look at the action. Alright, so just to quickly look at the situation here. So I've got my 2 Tiger platoons, and they're going to shoot up at the KVs. Now, the Tigers probably could have benefited from taking that focus, but their firepower is pretty strong. I thought that'd still put them on a nice positive of the attack. So we have firepower of 12, subtract the armor of 8. So that's going to put us on the 4 column. Let's go take a look at some column shifts and see what we end up with. Okay, I'm actually on the red band for the Tigers. So I actually looked. I am 3 hexes away. That's just, everybody kind of moved their maximum movement, and that's how we ended up. You know what, though? I think I did mess something up. I did. Hold on, I gotta go back and fix something. The problem with playing solo is I've got no one to keep me honest. The movement on the KV-1s is only 3, which means they aren't on this line here with everyone else. So if I move them from the starting position, 1, 2, 3, if I move them to 5, that'd be perfect. So actually the Tigers are going to be pushed back a little bit more. So now it's a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm glad I caught that. I'm sure someone else did, but you know, just in case, there it is. I did mess up on their movement. I moved them back. It still doesn't change that the Tigers are shooting there. However, it will change the dice shifts a little bit. I'll show you here in a moment. Alright, so now we're just at normal range, which is fine because it's no penalty shifts at all, which means we were starting out here on the 4, and because I've got two Tigers there, it gives us a shift to the right, and we didn't move fire. Everybody's out in the open, so I should be safe to roll on the 6 column. Well, actually it's a 2 column shift, so actually I'm rolling on the 8. That's one reason I didn't put the focus on the Tigers, is because with 2 platoons there, they get 2 shifts. They're rolling good no matter what they're shooting at. So we're going to roll the die 10 and then cross-reference. 4. Now I cross-reference the 4, runs across to the 8. That's only 3 potential hits. That's actually not quite as devastating as I was hoping. And then because the Soviet player put their aid right there, this might not be quite as cool as I thought. I didn't roll as well as I would have liked. But, yeah, because I put the focus elsewhere. Well, let's see how they do. 3 potentials. Got it. Alright, for this here, just the basic 3 morale for the Soviet player. Roll some dice. 1 save. Alright, cool. Well, that's disruptions. But we will go ahead and have them roll their 1 aid. We'll do it. So actually that's 2 saves. So only 1 unit is disrupted. Okay, so the Soviet player has 8 firepower, and we are 5 away. 8 armor, and because one of the platoons got disrupted, they're not going to get the 2 column shifts for that. Bummer for them. So we'll be rolling on the 0, and we'll check range for yellow here in just a second. Okay, for yellow, 4 would be the normal range, 8 is long range, so we're actually going to be on the long range column. That's between the 2. With long range, that means we're going to have a 2 column shift to the left. Now nobody moved, so the sad thing is we don't have the 2 platoons there to kind of offset that. So we're going to have our 2 column shifts. Yeah, so there's no movement, no terrain. They're just having a rough day. So we're going to roll and see what happens. Since we did put the focus marker there, we need this to be a really low roll. And that is a 0. I can't get lower than that. Let's see what a 0 does on that -2 column. Unfortunately, it's only 2. You know, but that's, I mean, I really couldn't do much better than that under the circumstance. So 2 potentials is pretty good. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see if German steel holds up. Actually, it's 1 disruption. So the morale for the Germans is 5. So they have a really good chance. They're going to go ahead and use their aid and re-roll. And still failed. So that's 1 disrupted tiger. Uh-oh. Okay, mid-game update. Had to change locations where I'm filming. So everything should stay the same, but the lighting might be a little bit different. So if things look weird, that's why. The other thing, too, if I can open this. Let's see here. Before I open it too much. I can't say it's sponsored by, but if you happen to be watching this, Iron Horse, we are doing some black cherry soda today from Iron Horse. I've not had this before, but it looked pretty good. They got a little Iron Horse right there on the cap. Lovely. Let's take a little sip real quick. Oh, wow. That's good. You know what would make that better? That would be better if I had refrigerated it. I actually just grabbed it up off the floor and I was like, hey, let's grab one of these. And I thought it was my Weinhardt cherry soda, but Iron Horse, that's actually really, really good. It is 1 serving, 130 calories for those that are interested. Wow, that's good. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out kind of where I left off at. I had just finished firing with the Soviet KV-1s. We disrupted in the Tiger platoon here. We got 1 disrupted. Firing alternates. So yeah, so now that we just finished with the Soviet, we're going to come back to the Germans and figure out where to go. I could go here. We're going to try and shoot point blank now with the Panzers right here into that city. So we got firepower 8, defense of 4. So already we're on the -4 column. Cool. Let's go see what kind of trouble we can cause with that. Okay, just real quick, we wanted to check defense. So we are in a city. It's 3 or more hexes. Blocks on sight, movement cost if I wasn't on a road. And then here's the defense. So we're just looking at the armored fighting vehicle shift for fire combat. So city, it's just 1 for armored fighting vehicles. So they get one defense. That's cool. And then the green for Panzer IV. So Panzer IV, because they're shooting at short range, that's only 1 hex for them. Normally, that would be 1 column shift to the right. However, since in a city, there's no column shift for that. So short range, adjacent, 1 column shift right. But they're in the city, 1 column shift left. So that brings us back to the 4. We didn't move or anything like that. So we're going to roll and see what happens. Alright, since I moved, I can't quite get the same camera angle on the dice tower as I like, so I'm just going to show you the results. So we rolled a 0, and on the 4, that's super good. That means there's 5 potential hits. Alright, as you can see, absolutely devastating results for the Soviet player, as their morale of 3 just makes it so nothing. So there was 2 units there, so basically you spread it so it's disrupt, disrupt, then reduce, reduce, and then one of those will be destroyed. Since they're both the same, I'm just going to grab one and we'll just get rid of it. Let's go see the damage. And that was the stack I had put the focus on because I thought they would need it, because I wanted to take that city, but I didn't need it. So they were the same with any further additional damage at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll stick a wreck in there because one of those is destroyed. And he is reduced, and he is disrupted. I'll just stick a disrupted on there. Yeah, that worked out really good for the Germans, and then he gets fired. Then the Soviet player can shoot back. Now, got a couple options here. I can shoot. Oh, let's see. I'll just move that down a little bit. Yeah, I got some dudes here. I got some dudes there. This is shorter range, so we're gonna go right there. Boom. Okay, so firepower 8, defense is 4 minus 1. That means when I make my attack roll, the initial attack roll, we'll subtract 1. So that's in favor of the Soviet player. That's just one granular way to show that the T-34, even though they had 4 armor each, the T-34 was considered the better armored because it's nice and sloped. So even though this has some shirts on it, it just doesn't quite have the same defensive capabilities as the T-34. So that's what the -1, if you can see that there, is for. Alright, so 8 minus 4, we're on the 4 column. We're 2 hexes away. Okay, let's go see what the combat is. Okay, so we were starting on the difference of 4. Then well, they are stacked. So Soviet player gets 2 shifts to the right, and then the German player is in that little field there. Let me see if that little thatchy field, which I believe is this here, gives nothing. Cultivated. So if we were leg units, we'd get at least maybe 1 shift. No shift for the armored vehicles in a cultivated field. So we're on the 8. That's really good favor for the Soviet player. So we'll roll real quick. Oh my goodness, I am rolling really good on these zeros. Now that is bad for the German player. I gotta get 7, so I'm gonna borrow an extra die in there. Okay, well, let's see how that holds out. They do have the better morale, but 7 dice. 2, 4, 6, 7. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we are back. I just rolled. That actually turned out pretty good for the Germans. So we have morale. I say we. I'm playing both sides. So we'll say the German player has a 5 morale. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 saves out of the 7 I had to do. That means we apply 3 hits. So they'll both be disrupted. One is reduced. So actually that exchange wasn't too bad compared to earlier. So let's go apply that to the board. All right, I'm just going to stick fired on that there stack. Bloop, and then I'll just bottom reduce that one. And then he's on top. And then yeah, the whole stack was disrupted. They still have their focus marker. I'm just going to stick that there. Alright. Okay, German player gets to shoot back. However, yeah, since they just took some they'll probably wait. I want to go with a nice full strength. Now, this unit here hasn't fired, so they'll probably fire there. So we're just going to fire right across. Ooh, well, actually, I might... Oh, I'm just going to shoot right up the gap here. Boom, boom. Because I think, without looking directly down on top, the shadow tells me it kind of shoots through the city there. Camera can't see that, so let's just move the camera a little bit. This is where I'm looking. I was going to shoot here at first, but camera angle says no, probably not. Cuts through the city. but this is a straight line, so we're going to shoot right there. All right, so, oh, you know what? Yeah, just so you know, because I rolled a 0, you can't go less than 0 on that chart. So even though I had rolled, you know, the German's armor has that -1, I did roll a 0 to get that attack number, so I can't subtract 1 from that. It's just 0 is the best. But here we've got 8, again, 4. We're going to start on 4s. Just thinking of some of the shifts. This guy is in a rolling hill. Rolling hill, without moving the camera. Rolling hills, they where's that at on the chart? Yeah, it does offer 1. As far as blocking, it does. It says rolling terrain when sighted from ground level, second hex blocks line of sight. When either fire or target is on hill, rolling terrain does not. All right, so that's only just one hex of that rolling hills, and so they do get 1 shift. All right, great. Let's take a look at the combat then. Okay, so we start at 4. I've got 2 German units firing, so that's 2 shifts to the right, which is great. However, it is 3 hexes away, so that's normal range, so there's no shifts either way. But there is 1 shift to the left because the T-34s are in that rolling hill. So that comes up with 6 potential hits. Yikes. And remember, their morale is 3, so they might not do so good on that. Let me move the dice over, show you what we got. Okay, that was 6 potential hits. We did get 2 saves. 2 saves, and then we had 4 fails. So the way I run it is, you know, there's a disrupted, disrupted, reduced, reduced. Nothing destroyed, but they are in a definite world of hurt. So let's go apply that. Okay, I'm just going to flip these because they were both disrupted. The same unit, they were the same level of damage, so we'll just flip them both. Stick the disrupted, put the fired, and then it goes back to the Soviet player. Honestly, yeah, they've already fired. They've got, they technically, this one has line of sight here, actually, because it goes right down that hex line. And I don't think they do, to my knowledge, I don't remember there being, like, if there's blocking terrain on both sides of that block line side, it's just going through. So I think we can just fire straight down that line here. And then this Soviet player can shoot here. So the Soviet player's got a couple more shot choices, which is bad for the Germans. So, oh yeah, I'm probably looking at one you can't see. Yeah, and then right down here, we do have there. So really it's just a matter of which Soviet player wants to shoot first. We'll just go right here because that's closest range. So we've got our 8 firepower, and they are 4 defense. But because we've got, oh, they already got to reduce 1. I just got to remember there's a -1 on their armor. All right, let's go see how that looks on the combat table. Yeah, sorry about the lighting there in this particular spot with the table. Yeah, sorry. So I'm going to read this as good as I can. That's the 4 column. I know you can't really see that. I wonder if I can just kind of maybe bend. There, just lift that a little bit. That will help. All right. So we're starting on the 4. Now they are a green range band and they are 2 away. That actually fits it into normal range, so there's no penalty or bonus for the Soviet tanks as far as range goes. And then the German tank is in the open, so actually they'll be rolling on the 4 column. That sounds about right. And let's see, I gotta subtract 1 from the roll. That popped right out of the. It's a 7 minus 1 is a 6. That actually helped shift them a column. That's all right though. It's still just 2. I'll roll that right now. Here, in fact, I can just move the little mini tower right here. And well, look at that. The German player survived both because they've got that morale of 5. Okay, great. Okay, so the Soviet player gets a fired marker there. No additional damage on those folks. Then the next one we're going to take a look at is actually just right up the road. Yeah, we can probably zoom out just a little bit for you. And they're going to shoot at another group. Yeah, because we were deciding, it looks like if I just go straight down the hex side, so they're shooting between the low rolling hills and the actual hill they're next to, and then just skirting on the outside of the city block. And that whole stack there is in the open. Road gives nothing. Now, what's nice is that group has taken no damage. They have the focus on them. But let's see, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to put it at long range. 8 offense, 4 defense, -1 on the dice roll. All right, let's go see what happens here. All right, I was just double checking the range. So green, it was 4 hexes away. That puts it at long range. Long range is 2 column shifts to the left. So we had 4 firepower. Now it is 2 Soviet tank units. That would bring it 2 shifts to the right. But again, we're long range, so that's 2 shifts back. I think they're just rolling on the 4. And let's go ahead and bring the dice tower over so you can see the result. Now remember, we got to subtract 1. So that's an 8. That's on the 7. Again, that's just 2 potentials. So let's just drag the tower back over. Morale of 5. There is 1 unit will be disrupted. Okay, I'm going to do this without knocking stuff over. We shot, down here. You got the focus. So I'm going to put the disrupted here on the bottom unit. And then put a fired. And that's it. The IS-152 over here in the corner you can't see. They've got pretty good range, but honestly, they don't have line of sight because they're shooting over some rolling. Well, they're on a hill. So actually, let's see if I can actually get them over here and zoom out just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. I got them on that hill, and okay, no, that cuts through K4. Yeah, that's it. And then, yeah, that's it. So I got a couple Soviet stacks that could shoot, but there's no line of sight. So what we'll do then is go ahead and start going through the next steps here. Okay, so just following on the sequence of play, we just got done with the fire phase, alternating. Then we can check for movement. And since all the German units have done something, I do have the 2 stacks of Soviet units that could move. So we'll probably move those, and then we'll do close assaults. All right, so let's check on movement. Okay, this should let you see everything. Now this Su-152, I like having them on the hill, but the problem is they can't really see anything. You know what? They probably could have reached here. I just realized, because that I think is a straight line, and since they're on a hilltop, yes, they could have. What's the range? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 actually. And red goes out to 10. It would have been a long range shot, but they would have taken that. Why don't we do that? Because technically they should be able to. I just didn't really notice that at first. I notice it now. So I'm going to say they're going to take that as a shot. To be fair, yeah, because they're on a hill, so it says if you're on a hill, you can look past the rolling hills. And that's what we're going to do. So at range 10, let's look at the combat chart then and see how that'll play out. Okay, so we've got 10 firepower. I subtract the 4 armor, so what is that? 6? Math is hard. Now it is long range, so that's 2 well, okay, so first of all, there are two of those IS-152s. That'd be 2 to the right, but it is long range, so I think it's going to stick right there on the 6. I'm going to roll, but I get to subtract 1 from that roll. Can you see you can barely see the dice there. Because the Panzer IV has that -1. So they roll a 2. But that'll be a 1, and that actually is a shift on there. So wow, that's really good for the IS 152s. Now that is 5 potential hits. Grab up some dice here, and then let's see how that turns out. Not good for the German player. So they got 2 saves, that's 3 hits. I'm going to have to look at that stack and see how that reduces down, but that's 3 hits I'm going to apply. Let's go do it. Well, it was a long-range shot, and it hit, and we were applying 3, so I'm just going to say that one is reduced, that one is that. The whole stack was disrupted, and I'm zoomed in a little bit, but I'm just grabbing a fired, sticking the fired on the IS 152s. Then that truly would bring us to the movement phase. Now that I can see everything, I kind of forgot about them. But this T-34s, they're gonna drive into this city hex here, and I know that's a couple movement points for them, but they're just gonna move right there. And they're not gonna move and fire. They probably could. Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. Move and fire. All right, so let's do that. Now there is going to be a shift of 2 to the left because they've got the blue burst on them. But let's see how that will work out. Because you get to move half their movement round down, so they can still move into that city hex. These guys are in the open. All right, yeah, let's take a look. Okay, we're just going to run through. First of all, just check the range because that is fortunately no shifts there. They're 2 hexes away, so that is normal range. No modifiers for that. Then they're on the 4 because 8 firepower minus 4 armor puts them on the 4. They have 2 platoons, so that's 2 shifts. However, they moved, and so they have the blue explosion, which mentions right over here. That's a 2-column shift. So that puts them back on the 4. Still some good potential hits if they roll well. And then remember, we get to subtract 1 from that. Panzer IV subtracts 1. A 1, and that is 4 potential hits. So actually shooting on the move was not such a bad decision there. And then that one's kind of cocked, but if I just push on it, that's really a 7. That's a 9. So 0 is a 0, 4, so 2 hits. Okay, let's go apply the 2 hits. Okay, well first they get marked with fired. The reason why you marked them with fired, the rule says that's important because since they did move, they would also be able then to assault. But since they fired, it's basically saying they spent their time shooting. So they can't do assault if I was doing assault. Then I apply 2 hits, got it evenly. So we're going to reduce 1, and then the second hit is actually going to remove a platoon. So we're going to have a wreck, which will give him a little protection. He is still disrupted, and he had previously fired. Okay, so that's movement. That's it. Ta-da! Moving fire. Deadly. Okay, again, sorry for the glitch. Oh, sorry for the camera falling down. Great. We'll leave that in. Okay. I'm not a professional, okay? But anyway, we had the movement phase is done. No close assault. Housekeeping, I'll do that, and then I'll show you the aid and focus that I got. Okay, just a quick look here. I took all the markers off. One set of T-34s is two platoons are off the map, but you can see everything else. We're going to put aid here because one of the Tiger platoons was disrupted, so we want to try and, on the rally, get them back. And then I put aid over here on the KV-1s. KV-1, same thing. They got like a disrupted, so they want to bring that back. And then down here, I just put focus for the Germans because we want to kill into that city, so I just want to make sure we can get some good rerolls. Maybe not the best. I think my other, then focus is over here. So actually, they didn't use a focus. They're going to flip their focus. And we just placed the aid. So their focus is up to 2 rolls. Aid is there. Yeah, that's, plus, I flipped his focus to the 2 side because he didn't use it. That means then we advance the turn marker. We're going to roll for initiative, and then we'll see who's going to go first. Okay, so I'm going to advance turn marker. I'm going to advance it, flip the turn around, roll for initiative. Let me move that out a little bit. So German player retains initiative, so I'm just going to leave it on the German side. We're not doing action cards, but I will do rally. So we'll go and see if we can rally anybody. Okay, rally is an initiative order as well, but it's just me, and just for ease, I'm just gonna kind of go from one of the board down. Now there is a rally over here that needs to happen. So there is a disrupted unit, and it's Russian, so they are okay on a 3 or less. 5. He is going to use his aid because he really wants that KV-1S back. Roll to 0, so that time it is good. And they are back with focus, so they're ready to fight. Over here, same thing. I got a tiger, and they're on a 5. Oops. Well, he rolled a 3, so he's good. Bumpity bumpity. Okay, so they're good. He didn't need to use the 8, so he'll keep that. Disrupt it off. Here's a disrupted stack. So I'm going to make 2 rolls, actually, just to save some time. And because they're both reduced, it doesn't matter which one, if any of them makes it. If one was, one was reduced, one was full strength, then I would roll individually. 3. So one of them is not disrupted, and they don't regain health unless there's a special rule. So they're still reduced. And then again, we'll just move down. So let's just shift the camera now. So you can see some more disrupted units. There we go. And bring the dice tower here. All right, both of those are disrupted. Well, there's only one. One of those is a wreck. So we're going to roll 1. He is still disrupted. Now this guy here, he's got a disrupted unit. So we're going to roll for him. He stays disrupted, and he's only got focus. Okay, so here that's a wreck. Okay, 3. Nope, he stays disrupted. Here, both of these. Now, because one is reduced, I am going to roll individually, just so we're clear who's who. So first roll, he is good. Second roll, he is not. So what I'm going to do is put the disrupted on the bottom guy, like so, and the guy on top is good to go. And that is all the disruption. So that's rally is done. Next phase is fire. And this has changed the landscape a little bit. Let's move the dice tower out of the way. Let's take a swig of the Iron Horse Black Cherry. Again, not a sponsor, but they should be. Well, I'm not going to get anybody a sponsor, but here we go. KV-1Ss. Let's take a look up north so you can see them. Right, so the IS-152s, that just shifted. The IS-152 is in the same position where they could just come right down here and shoot. Oh, but Germans go first, so let's take care of that. But anyway, just thinking out some shots. Yeah, let's just shoot Tigers. Tigers are ready to go. Hit those KVs. Since those KVs, nothing really happened. Strength of 12, defense of 8. They're on the 4 column by default. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Range of 5, so that is actually normal range. I'm just calculating in my head. But we are going to get 2 shifts to the right because I've got 2 Tiger platoons. Okay, let's roll some damage. Okay, so that's what I was saying. We're 5, which is normal range. It was a difference of 4. 2 column shifts to the right for 2 Tiger platoons. They're in no cover or anything like that. But I do, yeah, it's just that. So we'll roll. A 7. That's not good. Only 2 potentials. Dang, that's not good. Those Tigers are working, but they're not working very hard today. And that's 1 save. So just kind of what it was before, just 1 disrupted on there. Okay, so we're gonna put disrupted right there. I'm gonna keep the focus for reroll since that 1 KV will need that. This was an aid. They didn't need that, so we're going to stick it there. That whole stack is fired. Now the KV is going to return fire. and it is going to be a little bit different, but he does have 2 focus reroll opportunities. But he's got firepower 8, and they have a defense. Tigers have a defense of 8, so that's already on the 0. Let's go take a look at the other modifiers and roll. Okay, we're on the 0, and yellow at 5 is actually long range. So that's 2 more shifts. Yeah, I think we had this last time. Very similar. I think so. And then we just happened to roll good. So it's 2 potentials. Well, first I got to roll 1 die just to see where along here I'm going to be. A 1. Yeah, outstanding. Okay, so that's 1 potential hit on the Tigers. And they rolled a 6. So again, we got one that's disrupted. So very lucky rolling, I guess, depending on which way you're going there. And they're going to keep that focus. I didn't need to re-roll. I mean, I could have tried for a 0, but I mean, they got a good hit. So they're going to keep that in case they roll like an 8 or a 9. So they're going to get marked fired. Well, here, I'm going to put the focus still with them. Oh yeah, that was just one platoon, and he still rolled really well. And then I'm going to just put a disrupted on this bottom one. So no reductions, but just disrupted. So those 2 are just slogging it out back and forth. Alright, so that was the Soviet. And then the German player here. Yeah, we're running out of options, I think, for the German player because there's been some nasty, nasty fighting here. Oof. But we've got... Yeah, because see, that's only 1... Well, yeah, this stack here looks pretty good. Well, this is disrupt. They can't fire. They can... Yeah, we want to take out the guy that can do damage. So he's going to shoot straight across. So it's going to be firepower 8, defense of 4. So that's on the 4. It's only 1 Tiger. Range of 2 with a green. Yeah, I think that's just going to be normal range. Yeah, not much going on there, but we'll see. Right, because we had, what was it I said? That was firepower 8, defense of 4. So it's on the 4. Normal range, so there's no shifting. It's only 1 platoon, but they are in a city. So it is 1 defense advantage for the Soviet player. So let's roll. A 6. Yeah, which is going to be 2 potentials. Morale of 3. So 1 save, 1 fail. Alright, so I got me, first of all, fired. And then 1 is disrupted. So I'm just going to find, let me flip through all my markers and find a disrupted one here. I found one, just got to grab it. Okay, so we'll just disrupt this bottom guy here, and he can still shoot. And what we're going to do at this point, this here Soviet stack is going to shoot here, because that's the last remaining good order German. You know what? Germany, they might get stopped here today. Alright, so we've got firepower of 8, defense of 4. And then -1 on the roll. Okay, let's run through the numbers because that's going to be close range. Yeah, this is going to hurt. Okay, so we had the attack value 8 -4. We're on the 4 column. It is short range, so short range is 1 column shift to the right. And just to make sure, yeah, and it's 2 platoons, so that's 2 more. 1, 2. That is phenomenal. And then they're in the open. There is no... Yeah, this is a bad day for the German player. Alright, so we're going to roll 1 die 10 -1. That's a 0. 8 potential hits. Okay. Let's see if I can fit all of those in. Let me go find a die 10. I have another one handy. Okay, so here comes a big roll here. And remember, we save on 5, so try to be fair. Take the saves out. That one is good. That one is good. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, we're going to go apply 3 hits that actually stuck. Okay, so this was the unit here that, well, they had a disruption. What did we get? I got to apply 3. Okay, so one of these would make that top one disrupted, and I got 2 left, which means they both now suffer reductions, and they're both disrupted. And I'm going to put that under the focus there, and they get fired. Alright, so at this point there are no German stacks left. So what we'll do now is just start taking the Soviet forces and firing with them. Yeah, we're going to do this group here. Now, just to maybe speed things up for you, what I'll do from this point forward, I don't know how long this has taken you guys. It takes me a while to kind of shift the camera around. So I don't know if you like to see the kind of the play-by-play moving the camera, so I don't mind doing that for a little while, but I think just for me, since we're getting to a point where the fighting is like right here, I just want to roll. Let's do our math here. So I've got 4 on the attack. I know they have a 4 defense. Yeah, that's a reduced group. Alright, so I'm on the 4 column. This is normal range, so no shifts there. I have 2, so that's actually going to bump me to the 8 column because there's 2 platoons firing. There's no terrain problems, no defense for the cultivated field. So I'm rolling on the 8. Well, maybe I will bring it over because I like you guys to see what happens here. So I'll bring it over to the combat table. Okay, so we're on the 8 table. I'm going to roll my die 10. That's a 6 minus 1 is a 5. So no benefit there. That is 3 potentials. We are saving on 5s. Wow, only 1 save. That means 2 hits go through. Alright, I can't get that out of the... Alright, let's go apply the 2 hits. Okay, we're going to put fired on that group. And first hit would disrupt them. And then the second hit is going to flip them. So they are both reduced and disrupted. This group is going to fire. Only 1 can fire, so they won't get the benefit of having 2. Oh, I forgot to move this guy up here. Anyway. So we'll go just 1. So it's 8 minus 4. Yeah, let's head over to the table. All right, so we're starting with 4 because it's 8 minus 4. There's 1, so there's no shift for that. Only 1 platoon. And then they are in normal range, so no shift. So really, they're just on this 4 column. So they're going to roll 1 die to see how we do. Subtract 1. And that does actually bring them from, it's still just 2 potential hits. German player is going to roll to see how that looks. And makes both. Alright, cool. Now I'm just putting a fired marker. Yeah, let's do, without showing you the picture, we're going to do the IS-152s now. And they were at long range. And they're going to shoot into, I got a group over here. They're already disrupted. They already worked over a group of Germans. So there's 1 platoon left. So anyway, it's firepower 10, minus 4 for the defense. That puts us on the 6 table. It is 2 of them shooting, so I'd bring them up to the 10. But it is long range, so I think it's just going to stick on the 6. Because the German player is not in any kind of cover. So we roll 1 die, subtract 1, 8 to 7 doesn't make a difference. 2 potentials, and they save both. Okay, so lucky there. And then I also have 1 more platoon, but it's a reduced Soviet platoon, and there's only 1 in. One of the stack is disrupted, the other one can shoot. So basically, it's 4 minus 4 puts them on the 0. And it's a range of 3, so that's normal range for them. And because it is just 1 firing. So we're going to roll. So it's a 4 1 potential hit. And the German player made the save. So I'm just going to mark them with fired. And that is it. I've got one Soviet unit that I did not move earlier, which I will move in the move phase, and they will move and fire. Everybody else, the board is done. So if I look here, let's take a look at the board real quick and then see what's next. Alright, this is most everything. Down here on the south, there is one more Soviet stack that's fired, but everything else is done. So this is the only unit left. They're not going to fire. They got nothing they can... Well, oh, you know what? They do. I forgot. They had this line of sight to this group right here. It's between the rolling hills and the hill, and then it's right past this city hex into the open. Yeah, let's do it, because they might cause some trouble. And it's 2 platoons, so that's going to give them some benefit. However, it is range 1, 2, 3, 4. It is going to be long range, so that will negate the 2 platoon bonus there. So they're going to be just on the 4. Well, let's see what happens. Alright, so it was 4, and then you had like 2 for the 2 platoons, but then it's long range. So that's, well, actually long range, sorry. Yeah, long range is 2 columns. So I think they're on the 4. That should be the 4. So we'll roll, subtract 1. It's a 0. We subtract 1 because, again, the Panzer IV armor gets that -1 for whatever reason, the not sloped, I guess. But that's 5 potentials. That is enough to make a difference. Let me grab one more black die for consistency. Alright, a 0 is a save, a 4 is a save, and those 2 2s is a save. So that means 1, we need to apply 1 hit, and then we'll be done, I think. Yeah, I think so. And this was the group I was talking about. So them, and then we come over here. It's already, oh, yep, it was good. Oh, I forgot. There was a shift column here because of the wreck. I didn't look to... Oh, wait, that's because that's not the group they were shooting at. Woo, they were shooting at this group down here in the open. Okay. So they're already disrupted and reduced, so that actually means now they get a wreck. So we'll put the wreck right there, there. They got the focus, not doing them much good. And now. And that is, everybody is fired, everybody is moved. Well, they didn't move. Everybody's fired. No movement necessary. Everybody's happy with their positioning. Then the next step would be movement. No movement there. No close assault. Now we're going to do housekeeping. So I'm going to do housekeeping, and then we'll move right into, after housekeeping, move right into aid and focus. Okay, I added the aid back to the KV-1s because they had a disrupted unit. Their aid stayed, actually I think I flipped it to a 2. Their focus stayed, and I had, where's the focus down here? I had a Soviet unit. Oh, the Soviet, this one here, their focus stayed at 2 dice, so no change there. After you do aid and focus, we're advancing the turn marker, and then we'll go check for initiative, and then we'll see what happens after that. Woo! Okay, so things aren't looking good for the German player, because it's now turn 4, and they have not made any headway in taking objectives. They were hoping to just crush enough Soviet forces that they could just kind of move in. It's not working out that way. So we did the aid and focus, we advanced turn marker. Now we're going to check for initiative. Let's see if you can see the dice roll. Germans do maintain the initiative. So then we're skipping the action cards. Now we're going to go to rally phase. Where'd my little pointer go? Oh, I was covering up my little turret. There. We're going to go check the rally phase now. Okay, like before, we're just going to move up here. Even though Germans technically could roll first, they're just going to kind of move my way down. So I got a disruption there with an 8 on it. They roll 7, so they'll spend their aid. And they still failed. that's bad for the Russian player, so he'll only have one KVS firing in that group. And we can see the German player. German player's got his Tiger, and he's got 2 aid, but 5 morale. Okay, so he's going to spend 1 aid, so he's going to flip that to the one side, re-roll, and he makes it that time. So both Tigers are back in action. And then I've got a disrupted one here. Roll to 1, so they're back. They're both reduced, but they are not disrupted. Okay, I'm going to move the camera just a little bit further south here. Okay, this here unit is going to roll. Two. Okay, so he's good. And this here stack. Now this means both, and they got to re-roll for focus. He's the only one in there. It's a wreck, so he's going to save on a 5 or less. 7, so he stays disrupted. That stack, they are both reduced, both disrupted. So there's 2. I'm just going to roll. One of them comes back, and he's disrupted. And then I've got a Soviet player there disrupted. Let's see. Make sure that is a tank, not a wreck. Okay. 1. So they are all back with fighting spirit. Well, mostly. Alright, only a couple units that didn't make it. Everybody else looks like they are raring to go. Alright, so looking at the turn, it is fire phase. And yeah, I really want to see those Tiger tanks do something. So we're going to start with the Tiger tanks, and they're just going to bash again on up here north. They're going to fire at those KV-1s again. So let's get set up to watch that. Let's do some math here. So firepower 12 minus 8 armor is 4. I get 2 column shifts because 2 platoons. And that's normal range for the Tiger, so no modifier that way. And they're not in cover, so we're going to roll 1 die. A 4 this time. It's not the worst. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, no, they have the aid. I put the focus somewhere. I'm going to have to move that focus up to those Tigers because having aid on the Tigers is okay, but we're not hitting. So we rolled a 4, so that's 3 potential hits on the KV-1s. One of them is disrupted already, so that's good. This might hurt them a little more. Which it does hurt them. That's bad. So that's 3 failed. Let's go apply the results. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to put a fired marker. Tigers are done. Tiger, Tiger. Then we got to apply 3 hits. So 1 is going to reduce them both, or disrupt. They're now both disrupted because 1 was disrupted, so the second one's disrupted. And then apply the hits evenly. They are now both reduced. And they get their focus, which is important because they could. However, well, combat down here in the south that you can't really see it very well is going very, very well for the Soviet player. So they might just finish it out. Yeah, let's finish it out because there's not a whole lot the German player can do down here. It's hurting. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot here. These 2 platoons. I don't know if you can see that on the map. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Boom. Fighting for the city is fierce. So we're going to have these 2 guys shoot up here. Try to finish off that stack. 8 minus 4. Let's go run the numbers. So we're starting on the 4 column. We've got 2 platoons firing. It is normal range, and they're not in cover. So yeah, that's terrible. Okay, so the German player is gonna hurt, and we subtract 1. 7 to a 6. That actually brings it down, but it's still only 3 potential, so that's not too hurtful. And they save on 5s. 2 saves, 1 fail. What that means is a whole stack is now disrupted. And I'm going to mark that bottom group is now fired. Now what that means is the German player gets to fire back. However, the German player only has 1 stack. Let's see what he's got to do. This is the 1 stack we have left. So what we'll do is we're just going to shoot right up here. Well, that's 1 shift. The city, let me see. I don't remember if the city was 1 shift or 2 shifts. I think the city is only 1 shift. Yeah. Rolling Hill is 1 shift. Wait. Does Rolling Hill benefit armored fighting vehicle? It does. So my thought process is just for range, we're just going to shoot right across here because that'll be normal range. Actually, both is normal range, but since those guys have a lot, we're going to fire into them because those guys have full strength units. Let's see if we can cause some damage. So we've only got firepower 4, defense of 4 is 0. Let's go run the numbers. Alright, so we already know that's the 0 column. It's only 1 platoon. There's not 2 platoons stacked. They're in a city, so that is 1 shift to the -2. So we've got to roll really good if we want to have a chance at hurting those Soviet tanks there. 5. Well, that's 1 potential hit. And it did get a disruption. Alright, let's see what happened. So we're going to put fired and a disrupted on this bottom unit. I mean, the good thing about that is now instead of having 2 platoons firing, it's just 1 platoon firing. And they will go ahead and shoot. They'll shoot. Well, let's do this. These 2 here. And what's going to happen is basically now it's just all Soviet units firing because there's no more Germans to alternate firing. So I'm just going to run some numbers and some dice rolls here. This group is going to shoot here because that stack is all reduced and disrupted. So that's 8 subtract to 4 armor. So I'm on the 4 column. Let's go look. Okay, so we're on the 4 column. 2 hexes away. They're green, so that's still just normal range. And then it is 2 platoons. That's going to bring us up to the 8 column. And they're in the open. Well, they're cultivated, but it offers no protection. So we roll 1. We subtract 1, so it's 5, but it's still just only 3 potential hits. And failed all 3. Okay, German player failed his 3 morale hits, and since they're already disrupted and reduced, both of those are gone. They do put 1 wreck marker in there. That way, if maybe we move in there in the future, they are now fired. This singular tank is going to shoot here. Now it's firepower 8, defense of 4. And that brings us to the 4. And then it is adjacent, so that's short range. So that's 1 column shift to the right. And it is only 1 firing platoon because the other one's disrupted. So we're on this 6 column. So we're going to roll our 1 die -1. A 0. Well, I can't go lower than that, but that in itself is 6 potential hits. So I'm going to grab up. Let's see, that's 4, 5, 6. Okay. Well, not so good, but the 5. I tell you, that 5 morale helps quite a bit, but once you start getting down to just a few vehicles, but still, out of 6, 2 hits got through. Let's see how that applies. Well, that applies very favorably for the Soviet player. Since that guy was already reduced and disrupted, he's actually gone. And you only have 1 wreck marker. And the focus, there's no one there to put it on. So the focus doesn't actually ever get like destroyed. It just simply gets taken off the board. I can bring that back later, which is fine because I might move that up to where my tigers are. And then we're going to mark him fired. Then, realistically, I do have T-34s right up here off camera a little bit, and then the IS-152s, which can shoot here at this lone Panzer platoon. Pretty soon, those Tigers are going to be all on their own. Okay. Well, I've got here again, they're off camera a little bit, but they are 2 reduced platoons, and so they have firepower 4 against 4 defense. Let's see how that runs. Okay, well that does start on the 0, and it's a range of 3, so no shifts there. And I'm just looking at the board. That's it. Nobody's moved or anything like that. Everybody's just static, shooting away at each other. So I think they're just on the 0 column. We're going to roll 1 die 10 minus 1. That's a 6, which does actually shift it, but it's still only 1 potential. And they survive. So I'm going to mark the Soviets with fired. Now the IS-152, 10 minus 4, they start on the 6. Platoons, 2 platoons firing brings it to the 10, but it is long range for them. So it's back to the 6. So we're going to roll. 3 minus 1 is a 2. So 4 potential hits. 2 saves, 2 failed. All right, let's see how that applies. Okay, I did put a fired marker on the 152 that's off camera, and we had 2 hits to apply. So one would disrupt it, and the second one would eliminate that one. Okay, that's all the Soviet firing. Now, that being said, there's no more Germans either. All I have left for the German troops are the 2 Tiger platoons. What that means is, if I just shift north here a little bit, all that I have left for the turn now is after firing is done, we can move. And so what's going to happen is the Soviet player is going to move his T-34s up, and he's going to move them to close range. And the reason why he wants to do that is, 1, he's going to have a couple of shifts in his favor as far as being close range, and then he's got 2 platoons of T-34s, and what we want to do is just put pressure on the Tigers. So now everybody that is surviving as far as the Soviet player goes, they're just going to now just really try to move and swarm in on the Tigers. So at this point, to be quite honest, I think the German player has lost. I don't think I can recover from that at all, which is fine. I win either way when you play solo. So yay, I won. But let's see what happens to the Tiger tanks. So we're going to start with those T-34s right there. So they have firepower 8, and remember the Tigers have a defense of 8. So they'll be rolling on the 0, and we'll see if they get any good positive column shifts. Okay, T-34 starts on the 0. Now, because it is short range, they do get a column shift to the right. It was 2 platoons, that's 2 column shifts to the right for 2 platoons, but they moved. They have a blue band, so that means they don't stabilize very well at all. So they actually get 2 shifts to the left as a penalty. That does put them on the 2 column. That's a positive. And they're going to get a straight roll, no modifiers. They roll a 9, so actually they rolled pretty bad, but there is a chance that it won't do any good for the German player. And they rolled an 8. So that's exactly what the Soviet player wanted to happen. It's not much, but it is a disruption. Alright, so we're going to put fired there. And they're used to being in that kind of position. Now, to be fair, I could have used the aid marker right there on that rally, I think. No, it's not a rally, but on the I think we just do that on the rally phase. So, anyway, it's going to get used, but it still could fail. That is everything on the board. Everything's done. So what we do then is close assault. We're not close assault. Well, when you move and fire, it's fired anyway. So nobody can do close assault if they want it. Housekeeping. So I'll just take all that off. We're getting fewer things to track here. The disruption stays on. Then, after housekeeping, it's the aid and focus. All right. So the German guy will flip the aid and we'll bring on focus at the one side to the Tigers. And then the Soviet player will put his aid up there to try and undisrupt some of those guys. And then we advance the turn. All right, let's go look at the turn. Initiative time. Okay, here we go. Ooh, well, first of all, we had to advance the turn marker because it's turn 5. And this time, Soviet player seizes the initiative. Completely they've seized the initiative. And then we're going to do the action card, which we're skipping. Now we'll go do rally phase, and this will be pivotal. If it hasn't been pivotal before, it is pivotal this time around. Okay, I do have, yeah, both of those KV1s are disrupted. And I think they're both reduced. Yeah, so I'm just going to roll. Since it doesn't matter, I'm just going to roll 2 dice 6. They fail both, but I can re-roll one of those. So I'm going to roll 1, and that actually works. So I use that aid, so that means one of them is disrupted. Okay, well, good. And they'll keep the focus. And then, can you see the German? Yes, you can. He's right there. And he's got 2 aid, and there's only 1 disrupted. So he rolls, he fails. So he's going to use one of his aid rolls, and that time he made it. So both Tiger platoons are raring to go, and we're going to move south just a little bit into the city and see how things are looking here. We'll just stick it right there. There is 1 disrupted platoon there. They're going to stay disrupted. There's this here reduced one, and he's going to stay reduced and disrupted. And that's all the disruption. Soviet player goes first because we move on. Next segment after rally is the fire phase. Since I've got T-34s right here, they're going to go ahead and shoot. So at point blank, that could actually be very devastating. Oh, you can't even see what I'm talking about. Right up there. Boom. Boom. That could be super, super devastating. Let's see what happens there. Alright, so we've got, it's 8 firepower. 8 firepower, but it's 8 defense. That actually puts them on the 0. But there's 2 platoons, and they are point blank. So that puts them on the 6, which is amazingly good. And they roll. They did roll a 9. There's no focus on them. The focus is with the KVs. So 9 gives us 2 potentials. And they failed 1. Okay, that's not the result that the German player wanted, but that was a great result for our good buddies there, the Soviets. Okay, I had something. I don't know what I was doing. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, I forgot what I was doing. But I remember now. What we're going to do is have the Tiger tanks fire point blank into these 2 T-34s. Now, it is only 1 platoon firing because one's disrupted. So they're going to have a 12 against a defense of 4. That puts us on the 8. This could go very well for the German player. Alright, so we start on the 8, and we get a 1 column shift to the right. So we're on the 10. But that's it, because there's no, it's not both platoons firing. One of the platoons is disrupted. But that still gives us a chance of getting some good potential hits here. So we roll a 5. Not the best, but it is 4 potential hits on those T-34s. Well, that's 2 because the 0 saves, the 2 saves. So technically, that's just going to disrupt both of those T-34s. Oh, you know what? I do have focus on there now. I'm actually going to re-roll that. I'm going to re-roll that. Okay, that would be cheating because the Soviet player already rolled morale. So to be fair, I forgot I had focus. I could have re-rolled that 5, but I won't. I won't even torture myself with a, well, what would have happened roll if I had done that. So to be fair, Soviet player already rolled their morale, already saw that they're taking a hit, well, 2 hits, so both units are now disrupted, and the Tigers get marked with a fired. And that's it. That's it. The rest of this is all Soviet player now. Which is quite a bit. I'm thinking about moving the KV-1s up now. Now that the Tigers are all that's left, and one's disrupted, and those T-34s are up there, I think I'm going to move everything, pretty much. Mostly because nothing else can even see the Tigers. So what I'm going to do is pause the camera, go straight to move, and potentially some move and firing. So I'll show you that. Okay, so we're going to move, well, as far as the KV-1s go, because one's disrupted, only one's going to move. So he'll move 1, 2, 3. He only moved 3 hexes, so he'll move the 3. Now that actually puts him at short range with his gun. Now he will shoot, so he'll actually get a fired marker. Since we're doing moving and firing, let's do that. Oh wait, he can't move and fire because he doesn't have a burst, so he'll just be there for next time around. And he'll move the focus with him, and then that unit will stay there. Now these guys, he's upside down. The SU-152, he's going to move 1, 2, 3. Yeah, since there's a unit there, let me check something real quick. Okay, so just so I'm playing completely as fair as I can remember to be, the stacking is enforced at all times. So I couldn't move these 2 through here because he's in the way. So technically I just had to move 1. But actually I need to resolve his combat first. But my idea is I'm going to swing them around and shoot. So I guess, oh, you know what? There go round. Because if I move 1 at a time to avoid stacking, they won't be able to shoot as a stacked platoon. I'm glad I'm looking at the lay of the land here. Okay, so let's... Oh yeah, KV-1 can't move and fire. Alright, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they can't move and fire either. So they're there now. I marked him with a fired, but he moved. And no explosion, so they can't move and fire. But see, they've got themselves set. The reason why I put them at those ranges is because that is short range. Since these are red band, 3 away is short range, and then KV is yellow bands at short range. So everybody is short range to take pinking shots there. The T-34, we got some down here in the south, so I'm just going to shift down. And what they're going to do now is work their way around, and we're going to try and cut off the Tigers. So I'm going to move these guys first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, you can see them. I'm looking for a move marker. They have moved. And then this stack here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Moving through the wreck shouldn't be a problem, but I'm just moving around. Here's a moved. They're gonna stay. I think these will stay. Alright, movement's done. So I look, no close assault. Housekeeping. Disrupted stay, but the moves will come off. Oops, moves come off. Moved. Those were disrupted, that stays. Disrupted, fired comes off. Yeah, I'm just grabbing some stuff here. I know you can't see it all. Alright. Let's take a look at the board, though. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and let you take a look at the board here. We are slowly shifting up here. Okay, off camera, I've got one KV-1S that's disrupted. The SU-152s have moved down. The KV-1S, that's not... Oh, they are reduced, though. Oh, they are reduced. I forgot they were reduced. So we got one reduced KVS-1 platoon come down. These two are disrupted, so not much they can do until they rally. This guy does have one disrupted Tiger platoon. Then as we move down here, he's disrupted, but he's reduced, so like he's going to sit out the rest of the fight. He's going to wait till his buddy gets undisrupted, and then we'll have two more T-34s that can come around. But this is the last turn. Yeah, let's go take a look at that, because now we've moved. Oh, aid and focus. Housekeeping's done, so aid and focus. So that's easy for the German player. Both of these will flip to the 2 side. And then the Soviet player has an aid marker. He's got a focus out here somewhere. Oh, he had one. But he's going to put aid on his T-34s that are there. And, focus. IS-152 will take the focus. All right. Amazing. Okay, so after that, aid and focus, we're going to advance the game turn. This is last turn. I mean, one could argue that the German player probably would have, withdrew from this particular battle a while ago. That's possible, but they didn't. So they advanced the turn marker. We're going to roll initiative. And for the last hurrah, the Germans will take the initiative. We're not drawing action cards. We'll go right to rally phase and see what happens. Okay, so up here in the shadow of Mordor there, we've got a KV-1S, so he'll check. And he does not make it. Focus is here. Yeah, we can put focus there. Okay, those T-34s are disrupted. There's 2 of them, and they're both full strength, so we'll roll 2 dice. 1 makes it. What we'll do is spin the aid and see if we can get the other one, which does not. So we'll just shift disrupted there. This platoon is good to go. The Tigers had 1 disrupted platoon, so they're going to roll. 7, he fails, so he's going to flip the aid. 3. Okay, so both Tiger platoons are good to go. And then, yeah, down here in the city, his buddy is going to check and makes it. And then here is just 1 loner. And the loner, he's good. So they get the courage to pop back into their tanks. And alright, so that is the situation. There's one up here, which I've bumped the camera a couple times so you can't see it. But he's disrupted. All of this is pretty much combat capable now. Germans have the initiative. Germans are going to take advantage of the Tiger. I think the Tiger tank, to be fair, I think the Tiger tank, honestly, would probably shoot at the closest threat, realistically, which would be the T-34s. There's nothing in the rules that say you have to shoot. It's just I'm thinking, tactically, I would want to take out those SU-152s. Those have the greatest chance of hurting, although the T-34s at close range have a pretty good chance. Well, it's all close range, but those IS-152s have a better firepower. So to be fair, I think the Tiger would shoot at the SU-152, but realistically, I think they see all of these tanks down here. They're probably going to shoot at the T-34s. So they're going to take their 12 firepower, subtract the 4 armor. We're at 12s. All right, let's go see what happens. Okay, so we already know we're on the 8. I'm going to maybe zoom in a little bit. Easier to read the numbers with you. So it's an 8. It is 2 platoons, has 2 shifts. It is close range, that's one more shift. So that would be on the 16 column. We roll 1 die 10 here, which is a 0. And that's 10 potential hits. Let's see, I think I got 10 dice here, right? That's 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's see if I got 2 more die 10 lying around. I do have another die 10. A baby one, and I did find one more. So I've got 10. All right, so pro tip. The highest you need to roll potentially is 10 of these die 10s. The game comes with 6, so you know you can either re-roll or just go ahead and buy a couple more off the internet or something. Alright, let's see how those T-34s do. Well, first of all, they did roll a lot of zeros. So there's a save. Oh, that was a 5. That's a save. That 2 is a save. That 2 is a save. And that 0 is a save. So that means we're going to apply 5 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hits! Okay, so when you play a game like this, that's the kind of stuff people expect to see, is you just devastate the other player. What did I roll on that? Was that a 0 I rolled? I don't remember, but yeah, that was a good roll. Alright, anyway, so they're going to get fired, and we had to apply 5 hits. So the first hit would disrupt them. The next 2, 3 and 4, would reduce both, and then 4 and 5 eliminates them from the map, and we put a wreck. Now, I was just thinking, like, that's what people expect when it's Tigers versus T-34s, just but we had to get close for that. A few hexes out, we probably could get the same result, because our short range is out to 3 hexes. It's just that I haven't been rolling well, and so, you know, when you play Tigers, it's like, yeah, we want to blow stuff up. So, yeah, there you go. That's what Tigers do when you roll well. Of course, to be fair, that's what anybody does when you roll well. But anyway, Germans are done. The rest of this now is Soviet firing. So we could do the KV-1 or we could do the SUs. But we're going to go for the SUs first. So they are firepower 10 against a defense of 8. So they're on the 2. Well, let's see what happens. Okay. Well, it's still pretty good firepower. It's just, you have really good defense on the Tiger. So it's starting at a 2. You got a platoon, 2 platoons, so it's 2 shifts. It is short range, so that's 1 shift. So not quite as strong as the Tigers. What's the defense on though? The defense is a 6 on the 152, so it's not too shabby. But now they're going to roll 1. Okay, they rolled a 6, but we have a focus, so we're going to re-roll that. Oh, 7 potential hits. That's exactly what the 152 wanted. 7 potential hits. So let's see here. That will be those. But the Tiger does save on 5. Oh, 2 missed completely. Okay, that's 1 save, 2 save, 3 saves, 4 hits. Let's go see what happens. Okay, so we got what? 4 hits to apply? Well, first of all, 2 would disrupt them, and then the next 2 flips them. So they are now both reduced and they are disrupted. Boom, boom, boom. And we put a fired marker on the 152s and we take his focus away. Yeah, and then we've got this KV-1S 4. He's on the -4 column. Do we even go that low? Yeah, we do. Well, let's see what the KV-1S can do. Maybe he can finish. All he needs is 1 hit. 1 failed save from the Tiger would eliminate one of those, or 2. So let's see if we can eliminate 1 Tiger platoon. All right, so KV-1S is 4 firepower. It's 8 armor. That's -4. He is at short range. That's 1 shift there. They're in the open. I mean, that's it. Yeah, because it's not 2 KV-1Ss. So let's see what happens here on the roll. Can we roll another 0? Oh, we do roll another 0. That's 2. Okay. Let's see how we roll. Ooh, the tiger makes both of those. Oh my goodness. That's pretty tense. All right, and that's the end of the firing. This mountain is in the way. Everything is blocked. So I technically could do some move and shooting, but at this point, the German player is completely lost, completely devastated. Even if they survived the firing, this was the last turn anyway. Well, what are some final thoughts? Wow. Normally, when I play this with folks, the German player does so much better because they roll so much better than me. So this was actually kind of interesting for me to kind of solo play this out and see how it came out this time, where it was like a complete Soviet victory, completely. And yeah, that's great. And I'll tell you, this is one reason why I think this is scenario number 3, which is called, I didn't tell you what it was called, I just said we're doing scenario 3. This one is called, 16th Tank Corps meets a Tiger. I'll be honest, usually when I play this, the Tiger tanks just really chew up a lot of Soviet armor, and this time it didn't work out that way. And I still see it where the German player loses, but they lose not as badly as this. It's a lot closer. If I was to count up the victory points, but I lose 2 victory points for every destroyed German armor. So on one hand, a person could say, well, don't charge in with your armor, obviously. But like I said in the past, the German player has done pretty good kind of just blitzkrieging up like they did. But this time, it was very interesting to see how the Soviet side, it just really played in their favor. And again, that's why I like this scenario. No matter how many times I play this, it usually plays out differently. It plays different every time, so I think that's good. And then if someone's asking, well, would the game have been different if you had the luck cards? Yeah, it's hard to say because some of the luck cards for the German player are artillery, and they hit with an 8 strength. And so that potentially could cause some hurt on the T-34s, but I'll be honest, I don't know. I haven't had it this bad playing solo before without the cards, so I can't say that the cards would make that much difference, but they do have some impact on there. This was just straight up a butt kicking for the Soviet player, so good job, Soviet team. Anyway, that is, like I said, I could play out the moving fire of these last couple, but let's see if they could. This one could make it because he's got 5. I'll talk myself into it because this is the only one that could actually get there in time to move and fire. Everybody else is out of range because it's move round down. Let me make sure it's move round down. Let me have the rule book here. Moving fire. May spin up to half. Yeah, fractions rounded down. So let's do it. Let's do it. That's the only one that could make it there in time to do moving fire. And so might get different results, but it's going to be on the 0 because again, the Tiger tanks have 8 defense. All right, we're going to play it out, and then if that makes a difference, we'll celebrate even more. Okay, so that's 8 minus 8 is 0. We have 2 platoons, close range, and then we have moving fire, so down 2. So we're on the 2 column. I roll 1 die, which did not land anywhere near the dice tower. That one did a 0. You're kidding me. All right, that's 4 potentials. And 1 fail. So actually we did eliminate 1 Tiger platoon. Okay, so that was they were both disrupted and reduced, so that did eliminate one. So, all right, that just made that even more of a shocking victory for the Soviet player. All those focus and everything just kind of wasted there. Okay, so if you stuck around to watch that, what a surprise ending. But there you have it. That is Platoon Commander Kursk. Now, if you all want me to play this again, I will play like another scenario, maybe with some infantry. Then we can. I just don't like doing close assault with tanks. I mean, technically you can. There's nothing that says you can't. The ratios would be like 1-to-1 ratios. But you bring in infantry and have infantry assault tanks and things like that, then it's interesting because the assault factors for infantry versus tanks is very lopsided. Which is why they didn't like to have tanks go alone against infantry, because infantry know how to swarm. Anyway, that's that. Thank you for watching, and yeah, we'll see you around. Bye.